as both teams combined for almost 500 yards total offense, along with James Lofton and Amron Thulin. And I think the story is both quarterbacks extremely successful in the first 30 minutes of play.
And both of them had done it in different ways. When you think about Eric Crouch, you think about him running that option, but he's been very successful throwing the football tonight. And Kurt Farmer, I've been impressed with his ability to move around in the pocket. And when you look at the stats, you think of almost 500 yards of offense, you think, well, that's what Nebraska puts out in a single game. But Missouri really has been impressive in this, in 6.6 yards per play. And they've also had that time of possession, that one punt hurt them.
Now Larry Smith needs to stop Nebraska on 3rd and long. Let's check in with Eric Clemens for the official statement from Larry. Eric?
All right, I caught up with Coach Larry Smith coming out of the dressing room. He was more intense than I've ever seen him. I said, what did you say to the players, Coach? He said, I told them to go out and make plays, and if you do that, we can win this football game. That's what I told them. And with the stats being just about even, I think he's right. They got to make plays in the second half, guys.
Absolutely, Eric, especially on 3rd down. You think about it, you take Buckhalter's big run out of the picture, and you take the Bobby Newcomb return, and all of a sudden this is a pretty close football game. And I think one of the keys on that punt return, the penalty that made it 3rd and 8, forced him to get the forced him to punt. Frank Solich's team responding to the challenge every time Missouri put points on the board. And Missouri just about out kicking their coverage on that 94-yard punt return for a touchdown by Bobby Newcomb, but we still have plenty of football left. Nebraska deferred the toss won the toss, deferred at the beginning of the game, so they will receive the second half kickoff with Joe Walker and Bobby Newcomb. Newcomb 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. Walker has 1. They are 2 dynamites back there. And considering that Frank Solich telling us he's disappointed at his special teams, they are not up to par. They have done the job tonight, and Larry Smith has felt the effect of that.
Yeah, but this man, Larry Smith, when we were in here at practice with him yesterday, you forget about how much enthusiasm coaches have for the game.
Yeah.
And the practice the day before is kind of an identification practice, but he's out there in his shorts, running around, having fun, throwing the football around, and just being part of his players and enjoying the whole process of being a collegiate football coach.
All the coaching staff enjoying practice yesterday. 5 yards deep. Walker will take a seat. Well, we haven't seen a lot of the option tonight, but when they did run it, this is how they did it, by direction.
Yeah, and they've had some big numbers. Look at that left. You saw that run by Buckhalter. And they've had 4 to the left, 4 to the right, so they've gone even. And you see that little hop step backwards, and then you run downhill. See the quick pitch. And when you spin out, you fake it into the middle. Eric Crouch just follows that football up. And it's that gap speed, and then the big success here. Justin Smith does not make him get rid of that ball early enough, and then it's just chased the big fella down the sideline.
Now Nebraska 1st and 10. First man through, Willie Miller, his first carry of the evening. Miller, the senior out of Omaha, Nebraska. And the numbers on Eric Crouch through 13 times last week was 10 of 13, so he's 18 of 26 for the last 2 games. And 7 touchdowns. I think that's a pretty good average.
And when you look at this kind of northern division of the Big 12, I think you're going to have to throw the football to win a game against Kansas State, to beat the Colorados, to beat Oklahoma, because those teams can put points on the scoreboard.
Average about 15 pass attempts a game, and that is pretty much on pace to previous years, including the national championship seasons. 2 tight ends, Wistrom and Galladay. This time they go right. Crouch is dragged down from behind. On 2nd and 6, he didn't get a whole lot. Pat Mingucci was right there, the senior out of Holt Summit, Missouri. Danny McCamey also coming up from that defensive tackle spot. Can't say enough about Mingucci. We saw the type of player he was against Michigan State. McCamey making the start also in that spot. And those 2 guys, they weren't intimidated by any offensive lineman. And tonight, I think they're showing that they're not intimidated here.
And they've got decent size. They're in the 285, 290-pound range. But what they really do, they run well. They line up kind of cocked off of the center a little bit, and they use that as leverage. They get that front foot up closer to the line of scrimmage. They really bolt past those guys.
On 3rd down, the pass is complete. 1st down, Nebraska. Matt Davison with a reception, his 3rd of the evening. Antoine Duncan was on the coverage.
And you hear so much about the zone blitz. Well, that is when you take a big lineman and you line him up in a pass rush situation, and then you drop him back in coverage. You drop these guys back in coverage, and they do an okay job. At that time, he doesn't get deep enough and disrupt that throwing lane. He has to realize what's behind him, the down and distance. He switched sides so many times, it's like he was trying to run from classroom to classroom.
Well, they wanted to move him around more this year, and they're doing just that.
I don't think they want to move him around that much on one play,
no.
though.
Alexander straight ahead. Well, you know, they tried to move Justin Smith to a linebacker spot. There was some thought of moving Big 96 over there, but that experiment, I don't want to say failed, but it just wasn't what they needed.
Well, when you look at what they have at linebacker with Doyle and Robinson and Duffy, their guys are around 220 pounds. And even though Smith runs well, he doesn't run backwards that well. And you see the 270 pounds, he's put on some weight so that he can take on these 330, 340-pound linemen, but he still has the speed to get around them.
Now this man's motor never stops. The pitch back, Alexander just bullying his way. And he will be close to the first down, and he should have it. Sean Doyle and Justin Smith were hanging on for dear life.
Oh, look at the body on number 15, Willie Miller. You get the fullback. He's your lead blocker. But you know what? When you pitch the ball, the quarterback will cut off the backside. Look at him. He's going for the feet of Pat Duffy, number 36. And Duffy will remember that when he gets a shot on Eric.
Now they try the left side on the option. They were successful in the first half, successful here. Crouch finally being shoved out of bounds by Andre Roberson.
Right after that play, there's a great conversation between number 55, Jamani Robinson, and number 36, Pat Duffy. One guy has to get the quarterback, and both those guys that time went for the pitch man.
29 yards on the pickup by Eric Crouch. Nebraska flexing their muscles here in quarter number 3, leading 28-14, 12-20 left to play in the third. Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sellout crowd of upwards of 75,000 on hand for the 94th meeting between these two teams. Bobby Newcomb cutting back, hit from behind by Jamonte Robinson. Memorial Stadium, Tom Osborne Field in Lincoln, Nebraska, home of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the top-ranked team in college football. Along with James Lofton and Eric Clemens, I'm Ron Thulin, welcoming you as the Big 12 Conference kicks off conference play here on Fox Sports Net. In case you just joined us, just about 500 yards between the two teams in the first half. Both quarterbacks playing exceptionally well. But Nebraska, thanks to Bobby Newcomb's 94-yard punt return, that has helped them get the 14-point advantage. And Crouch wants to talk about it. Frank doesn't look happy. Nebraska. Well, Frank Solich wants to sort out the confusion, and we'll take a timeout. 11:42 left in the third. It's 13 years. Nebraska's record at home, 77-3, losing to two teams that went on to share the national title. The other one, Texas, back in 1998. Crouch tries the left side with Alexander. Justin Smith celebrating his 21st birthday on the stop. Well, they've had success going to the left. We just saw it a moment ago with Eric Crouch.
And the linebackers have to work in tandem. One guy needs to fill the gap. You can't line up stack to stack. There you see number 36, Doyle. He needs to come forward. He continues to slide out. Number 55 behind him, Jamonte Robinson, was a player who had the wide play. Now a play that doesn't work. You get Justin Smith in the backfield, forcing the pitch early, and then you have three guys against two blockers. That's going to work.
Willie Miller said when he came to Nebraska, the fullback, number 15, he didn't like blocking, but he has become an excellent blocker. We saw that on a couple of plays tonight. Crouch into the flat, pass overthrown. Intended for Matt Davison. And Eric takes one of the few times he's been on his backside.
You know, and when you start to throw the football, it becomes a whole different mentality, because you're going to get hit more. You're going to get hit in a defenseless position. When Eric Crouch is running the football, he realizes what's coming at him, so he can lower his shoulder and he can use that extra weight he's been put on. But when you're back there throwing the ball, you're in a very vulnerable position.
Well, Josh Brown will come on to attempt the field goal. It'll be a 42-yarder. This is his first attempt of the year. Aiden Felt, the holder. The snap is down. The kick, it will not split him. Goes wide to the left. So Nebraska started out with an impressive drive, had the big run by Eric Crouch, comes up with a goose egg.
From up here, it looked like we had a good snap. You'll see the spiral, two hands on the ball. They lifted up a little bit, so you get a perfect snap. rotate the laces so the kicker's kicking away from those. And Hayden felt the punter is the holder, and those guys spend all day at practice just doing that. Ball sails a little bit wide to the left.
Brown usually pretty reliable from that distance, but it's a good break for Missouri. Kirk Farmer, excellent first 30 minutes of play. They're only down by 14. First possession of the third. Farmer straight back, has it knocked away, incomplete pass. Got him from behind. He wasn't sure where that ball went. It was Des Moines Adams coming from that defensive end spot that may have gotten a hand on the football. Numbers on Farmer in the first half, 170 yards. He threw a touchdown. 11 of 20, came into the game with about a 48% completion rate.
If I'm Nebraska and I've gone in at halftime, I make sure that I find number 12, Justin Gage, every time. He hurt them in the first half. He had the big alley-oop pass, had the touchdown over the middle. He's been very effective and Farmer's favorite receiver so far.
They try the left side as Farmer changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Zach Abram following the block of A.J. Ricker, the redshirt freshman center for Missouri. Big number 70, who the coaches have been very pleased with this year. Out of Spring, Texas, Klein High School. Well, you're right. Zach Abram is it's kind of like a little powder keg out there, isn't he?
Not a lot of room for a neck on his body, is there?
No. Third down and 8. Missouri 3 of 8 in the first half on third down tries. And the crowd of 75,000 into it. Here come the Huskers on the blitz. Farmer's pass is complete to Gage. First down, Missouri. Justin Gage with his 4th reception of the evening. He goes over 100 yards, and Larry Smith knows that this former quarterback is a gem at the wideout.
And when you can catch the ball on the outside, that's one thing. But when you can catch it in traffic, right in the middle of 3 defenders, he has a hard time getting a handle on the ball. But then he does a smart thing. He turns straight up the field. You see Bandon Bosch, number 83 on the tackle. He's up in that line, then he's dropping back in coverage. Those guys drop back in coverage. Sometimes they get lost.
Here comes the reverse. Gage likes to throw it, and he does throw it to Farmer. He's got the sideline. Closing quickly is Deion Booker, and that'll be a penalty flag. Boy, you've got to maintain your poise on a play like that.
And Craver's frustrated by that play because he knows that it's a gimmick play. He covers his guy, and you see that quarterback running down the field. You just want him. They do a double reverse. You start off with a pitch. You come back, and he has trouble hanging onto this ball. And there, Justin Gage gets it out at the last minute, and there is nobody around Farmer. 35-yard gain. Nice end-over-end pass, and you get the hit at the end of the play. Keough Craver, you have to keep your head about yourself. You don't want to hurt your team by making a dumb mental error.
Because you just gave him a bunch more yards. Craver, a junior out of Harlingen, Texas. But Farmer, an exceptional night. But what a job by Gage just to get his fingers on the laces. Dousman and Spencer wide to the left. They can get a first down. It's on the 13. And it is loud. Abram, right side, has some running room. Touchdown, Missouri. Oh, my goodness. Impressive by the Tigers.
No one gave them a chance coming into this ball game. You see Abrams sticking up inside, and you see the over pursuit by number 25, Joe Walker. He's coming to fill quickly. You must contain, even when you get down in that red zone. Get guys who aren't fast. They look real quick when you go the wrong way, and they cut back on you. See Bill Cubitt, the offensive coordinator on the sideline, is a happy man.
Abrams' second rushing touchdown in his career. The ball is down, the kick is up, and it is good. Crowd of 75,000 is quiet because of number 38, Zach Abrams. Farmer takes a hit, but his team scores. They're only down by a touchdown. Kirk Farmer looks like he's 14 years old, playing like a 28-year-old veteran in the NFL. He has shown a great deal of composure And he's shown a leadership role tonight that has been very impressive, and that is why his team went 75 yards in 5 plays. The 13-yard run capped it off, but the big play was the double reverse pass to Farmer, who paid for it. Kicking into the wind, and it will go out of the end zone. Talking about that hit, Farmer, as you mentioned, looked at the official and said, I'm okay, no problem.
Sometimes a quarterback shows his toughness by hanging in the pocket, throwing the football. Here he's down the field, certainly on the white stripe, and he gets knocked out of bounds. And when he gets up, gives the ball to the official, and the official comes over to ask about it, you see him say, I'm okay. Hey, no big deal. This is the guy we talked about outside of the ball game. He is the strongest quarterback in Division I football. What does he bench press? 450 pounds? That would take me, you, and Eric together to lift that up.
We got a second. We'd like to pass on our best wishes to a major Nebraska fan, Gary Lom, in a hospital in Denver. Gary, your friends here at Fox Sports Net are thinking about you tonight, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Got 3 tight ends in for Nebraska.
Fake to Alexander. Crouch into the flat. Pass incomplete. Wistrom was well covered on the play.
That play looked like a play that you'd run down in your red zone when you're on your 10-yard line going in. Not something that you run coming out. You put in 3 tight ends. You use that much motion. You play action. Slow developing play, and they get pressure on Eric Crouch. This is a ball club that's fired up. If I'm Frank Stolich right now, I go back to my power football. I run left like I've been doing all day. I have some success there. And I just do that. I wear these guys out if I can.
2nd down and 10. Crouch on the option. They close quickly. He splits the defense. Skips over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Sean Doyle on the stop. Once again, Missouri 1-24 in the Larry Smith era versus ranked teams. The last 2 of the last 3 meetings between these 2 teams, 1 touchdown decided it, and it came down to the final play. This is the 3rd time they've met when Nebraska has been number 1. And Larry Smith would like to snap that 21-game losing skid to Nebraska.
The great thing about Nebraska the last 2 weeks, their ability to throw the football in these 3rd down situations.
On 3rd and 3, Missouri 6 on the line. Crouch goes up, batted away.
Big number 98, Michael Gabbins, and I finally get to give you the one tidbit that Michael Gabbins and I have in common. Both born on the same day, a few years apart though.
Just a few. Tomorrow on America's favorite pregame show, he's hard-hitting and right on target. We're talking about Jimmy Kimmel. And now Nebraska forced to kick it away. Haydenfeld has had a nice night. Now he's punting into the wind. And Spencer standing at the 25.
And he's lined up 45 yards away from the ball.
A high kick. Spencer signals the fair catch, and that is what he will do. 45 yards on the kick, and we'll keep it right here with 8:29 left in the 3rd. Nebraska gives it up to Missouri, who was impressive on their last drive, trailing by just a touchdown.
When you think of Nebraska football, you think of option, power football, and offense. But on defense, they have a great tradition. The black shirt tradition. These guys earn that black shirt in practice. As Craig Bohl, the defensive coordinator, and he said these guys earn the right to wear these black shirts. We talked to Carlos Pope, their great middle linebacker, who's out of the ballgame right now. So sometimes I've seen guys with that black shirt taken away from them, and they cry. Well, this is a stage in the ballgame where the black shirts have to rise up.
Gage again. He's looking upstairs, floats it out to the tight end. Dwayne Blakely incomplete. Let's send it to our College Football Saturday studios for Dr. Pepper Game Break. Here's Kevin Frazier.
Guys, another.
We'll keep an eye on that. Thank you, Kevin Frazier. Oregon State up by a touchdown. Missouri in this ball game, 320 yards. San Jose State at 346. That is the most anybody's hung on Nebraska this year. Fumble, and they pick it up. Jamie Burrow. Touchdown, Cornhuskers.
Zach Abram, we talked about his propensity to put the ball on the carpet, or in this instance, the field turf. In traffic, gets jostled around a little bit, that ball comes out, and Jamie Burrow, who's in the game for Carlos Pope, picks it up, sheds a tackle, shakes off Kurt Farmer, rumbles into the end zone.
First turnover of the ball game for Missouri, and it's a costly one. Brown's extra point is good. Burrow, the junior out of Ames, Iowa. He's the hero so far, but we still have plenty of football left. About something right now, but we know he's not pleased with the Zach Abram fumble, his 4th of the year, that led to a Nebraska score, and that's why they're up by 14, 35-21. That is a deep kick, and that will not be returned by Ricardo Rose. Well, we saw a great punt return by Bobby Newcomb. How about one of the great punt returners in all of college football history, Johnny Rodgers? He's with Eric Clemens.
Yeah, I am with a college football Hall of Famer, and Johnny Rodgers. He used to thrill me when I was younger here at Nebraska. I tell you what, has anything changed much? Is this more passing than you saw back in your days when you were a Cornhusker?
Oh, no, we passed from the pro offense and the spread, so we did a lot of throwing of the ball. Since we started taking the option on, we don't pass nearly as much.
What's your most thrilling moment as you think back on your career? You had a lot of them.
Well, I got to think my last football game against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, where I scored 4 and threw 1. And also when I beat Kellen Winslow in chess.
All right.
Farmers,
that's a backwards pass.
That's a backwards pass. No, they're saying it's incomplete. You're exactly right, James. Eric, back to you and Johnny.
All right, Johnny, up until a few moments ago in the first half, you had the record for longest punt return here in Nebraska. Bobby Newcomb, on your day when you're out here, breaks your punt return record with a 94-yarder. Talk about it for me.
Well, I think it's a great run here. You can see the guy has great peripheral vision. You have to have a feel for these type of things. And I'm glad that he's broken the record, because records are made to be broken, to be set. I'm glad he set it, put the standards high, and to keep it going. He deserves to get the ball a lot more. I hope he scores one every week.
You think this team has everything it takes offensively and defensively to win a national championship this year?
Offensively and defensively, and if our special teams come around, then we got what it takes to make a championship team.
Johnny Rodgers, always a pleasure to talk to, a Hall of Famer. Thank you very much. Rodgers will be inducted, of course, in December. Guys?
Chess with Kellen, huh? Well, while we were talking to Johnny, there's been some confusion on the sideline, and we had a player down for Missouri.
It's like number 80, Dousman, and they're helping this guy off very gingerly. Two trainers almost have him picked up in the air. You can see that left leg suspended, just dangling.
Dousman's had a nice game tonight. He's got a couple of catches for 14 yards, and he has been their mainstay, the senior from Knob Nostra, Missouri.
And this is a team that's thin at wide receiver. They've had some injuries and a suspension earlier, so Dousman, one of the starters, going out, but the guy who's come up big in this ball game has been just engaged. And if I'm the Cornhuskers, maybe I start to double cover number 12.
Dousman sat out last year with the knee injuries. Spencer in motion, they pitch it back. Zane Gilmore tries to shed a tackle, but he is tripped up at the 22-yard line by Kyle Vandenbosch.
Great speed by Kyle Vandenbosch. That rush in, talk about the hybrid defensive end linebacker. That time he showed his linebacker speed.
Now Missouri facing a 3rd down and 8. 7:40 to play in the third. 35-21 our numbers. I'd like to welcome those of you, Fox Sports Pittsburgh, that watch the Pirates beat the Cubs tonight, 4-2. Up high, that is Kirk Farmer of Missouri, complete to Eric Spencer. Along with James Lofton and Eric Clemens, I'm Ron Thulin, as the #1 Cornhuskers have their hands full with the Missouri Tigers tonight.
And really, when you wear these black shirts or these red uniforms, you believe you can cover guys one-on-one. And this is nothing but Eric Spencer straight down the football field. You get a great pass. Dewan Gross tries to get the coverage, but a nice throw by Kurt Farmer. Farmer's been on the money most of the night. 32-yard gain and a first down.
Nebraska had a 14-point advantage at the end of one. Both teams have tacked down a touchdown here in the third, or at the end of the first half. Farmer, straight drop, pass, picked off, dropped. Keogh Craver had it. Let it fall out of the hands.
And I talked about Farmer being on the money. That time a little miscommunication between he and number 24, Eric Spencer. You see the numbers 13 out of 25. He's actually thrown the ball better than that. That's just over 50%. But he's made the big plays. He has moved around in the pocket. And I also believe he's the leading ground gainer for these guys. He had 10 carries for 50 yards at the half.
Yeah.
or 8 carries for 50 yards, rather.
He still has it by 16 over Abram. Chirimbolo and Abram in the backfield. 2nd down and 10. Farmer keeps it, sees the gap, splits it. He's to the 30. He's to the 20. Fumble! And Missouri covers it up at the 13-yard line. Justin Gage again. He has been Mr. Everything tonight, and Farmer's hurt with that left shoulder. 33 yards on the pickup, and that is not good. The backup quarterback is Darius Outlaw, the redshirt freshman out of Powder Springs, Georgia.
And Farmer does the right thing. He kneels down on the field. That gives Darius Outlaw time for the center to come over, A.J. Rucker. They can take some snaps. Outlaw can warm his arm up. You're going to see that when we show our replay, you will see the tomahawk shot by Walker. He comes down on that right arm, and Farmer ends up landing on that left shoulder. You don't want to speculate, but this could be a separated shoulder for this young man. We talked about his running ability right before the play, the pocket movement. When you're 6'5", you have a lot of body for guys to come after. There you see Walker coming in on him, and you see that chop, and there's the left shoulder out, and he lands on that left shoulder, and the guy who picks it up, obviously, is Justin Gage, number 12. Now, Justin Gage, we've talked about him all night long. He is the number 3 quarterback, the emergency quarterback in this offense. Darius Outlaw, a redshirt freshman from Powder Springs, Georgia. Wanted to bring this guy along slowly. He's going to get right into the heat of it right now.
Well, he doesn't have great speed. Got good size at 6'4", 194 pounds. We'll get you an update on Farmer as soon as it becomes available. 1st and 10, ball's on the 13. Missouri nearing 400 yards total offense against the Huskers, and here they come. Outlaw does a smart thing. They hand it off. Not much running room.
See him working on that left shoulder.
Boy,
Farmer,
hurt.
you can see him wincing, trying to get away from it. Talk about a tough quarterback. We saw the shot on the sideline that he got early. He's trying to work that arm around. Now, for about 2 minutes, adrenaline is still going to kick in, and then pain takes over. We hope that he's not hurt, but you can see him. He's reaching for it. He can tell him where it hurts. And I would venture to say that that thing probably popped out, and they're trying to pop it back into place.
Well, his dad was a quarterback at Missouri. Dad, Mike. Pickup of 2, 2nd and 8, 6 minutes left in the 3rd. And they didn't get it off in time. Too much time. They're going to send it back 5 yards.
And he's got the play clock right there in the end zone. He's going up and down the line of scrimmage, trying to talk to the offensive lineman to communicate. He has to keep his eye on that 25-second. He just has to get under that center and almost take a silent count. It's right in front of him, but he's so preoccupied with talking to the lineman, going up and down the line of scrimmage. And that's the one thing that you don't get when you're playing. In practice, you got all day long. Now that clock is down to 15. Get this play clock off.
And it is loud. Outlaw's pass is complete up to the 10-yard line. Once again, it is Eric Spencer. Farmer wants to get back in, but you can see him saying, ouch.
I think they're trying to push it back in. They're trying to feel around to see if it's the shoulder, to see if it popped out, or see if it's his collarbone.
He's saying no.
No and out sound a lot alike.
Yeah.
If you push on the wrong spot, you say no, don't push there, and then you say ouch afterwards.
3rd down and 7. Little alley-oop for Gage. Can't out-jump Keo Craver and Deion Booker. Booker at 6'1", Craver at 5'10", Gage at 6'5".
Take your 3 points and you get out of here. This is not a very well thrown jump ball. You want it to be a little short. It's floating over the head of Justin Gage. He has no chance to make this catch.
Now Bill Cubit's going to give his youngster a quick lesson in offense, and I think first thing he's saying is calm down. Take a breath. Here's the field goal, 27 yards for Brad Hamrick. Sneaks it around the left upright. He is now 3 of 4. His long was 35 this year. Kirk Farmer is hurt, but Missouri gets back up on the board, and they trail by just 11. Work on Kirk Farmer. His team trails by 11. 4:59 left to play in the 3rd. His injury came just at about the 7-minute mark, 6:51 to be exact, of the 3rd. And Brad Hammer will kick it away. Bobby Newcomb is back. Joined by Joe Walker. There is Newcomb, already the punt return tonight. Line drive kick goes into the cheap seats. Kurt Farmer has really had to withstand some pressure tonight.
Yeah, but the key is when you decide to leave the pocket, you become another runner. You're not a quarterback. You're not protected by being in the pocket, throwing the football. You're going to take your shots, and he's taking some vicious shots down the field. And on this last play, you'll see where he gets injured. You'll see the tomahawk on the right shoulder, but it's when he lands on that left shoulder is when he feels the pain. He's looking at the ball, he pats his arm, and then he grabs for that left shoulder.
Now the pads have not come off yet. Well, they're starting to come off. That's usually not a good sign. Earl Buckhalter now joins Crouch in the backfield, and he has the football. Cuts upfield. Nice job of running the football up to about the 23-yard line. Jamonte Robinson, who's been in a lot of tackles tonight, along with Pat Mingucci. And now they're going to take a little closer look. Now they're looking at the collarbone now.
And you can see those legs twitching. That's pain. And they're just touching it ever so lightly. Get some ice on there to keep the swelling down. It's like Kurt Farmer's night is over.
He has had a yeoman's night tonight, too. Crouch looking. Out in the flat. Pass is complete. Bobbled, but still holding on to the football. Matt Davison. His fourth reception tonight. Andre Roberson was on the coverage. Davison has been consistent, to say the least. 31 of 33 games he's had a pass reception. Crouch tonight throwing the football 10 of 18. 154 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Inside of 4 minutes. Now Newcomb looking to pass it. They're trying some razzle dazzle, and Newcomb gets one upside of his head, and Jamonte Robinson lowered the boom. Well, next week, start your college football Saturday with the pregame show presented by Rivals.com at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Then it's triple header action starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, with East Carolina visiting. It looks like Kurt Farmer is headed to the locker room. That is a huge loss, and while he's walking off, we have another injury on the field. And it is Sean Doyle, the sophomore linebacker out of Overland Park, Kansas.
And you know what, I've seen cramps before, but I saw him pull up. Looked like he pulled his hamstring because he was running full speed and went down, and he reached for his left hamstring. And you can see the competitiveness on Kurt Farmer's face. It's not the pain of the injury that hurts, it's the pain of not being in the ball game.
Davies and Buckhalter in the I formation, closing in on 3 minutes to play here in the third. Crouch gets it from behind, and they drop him. Justin Smith with his first sack of the evening, second of the year, and he is now 5 sacks away from the Missouri record.
And number 4, Judd Davies, he was the guy who had to pick up Justin Smith. Goes right by him, you see him sliding to his left, and then you see Justin Smith, number 96, flying in from that side. Running back. You have to know who you have to pick up in each and every set. The linemen call out their protection. There's Kurt Farmer headed off to the locker room, and a tough finish for this young man who had a broken leg last year.
Well, he's going to the Nebraska locker room because Missouri's on the other end. Third down and 25. They try the screen. It is bobbled and dropped. Buckhalter had it. Couldn't put the hands around it completely.
I would assume that Kurt Farmer's heading into the Nebraska locker room because that's where they have the x-ray facility. So they'll take him in there, x-ray that, and for a young man who had a broken leg and still has that titanium rod in his leg, it's a tough ending for tonight's ball game when he's played so exceptionally well.
Hayden Felt set to kick it away again, and Eric Spencer standing on his own 35-yard line. Hayden Felt's average is just over 43 yards a kick, or 46 yards a kick. Spencer moving up to the 45. He went nowhere quickly. 36 yards on the punt. One thing Missouri has done this off week is they have improved in practice. And Larry Smith said that makes them a better football team. Look out, Gage on the reverse. He's putting it up, and he is hit immediately, and that pass went nowhere. They've tried it 3 times tonight. It has worked once. Kyle Vandenbosch lowered the boom on him.
There were 3 guys there to stop that reverse. So if there are 3 guys to stop the reverse, then the onside play would work. But you talk about Larry Smith practicing to get better, and that may sound trite, it may sound corny, but they put up 24 points in this ball game, where in the 2 previous games they had only put up 19 points in total.
Bill Cubitt, offensive coordinator, operating with a redshirt freshman quarterback. 2:21 to play in the third. Gilmore, right side, maybe got back to the line of scrimmage.
And I think the tough thing for Bill Cubitt here is he has to find, okay, what is Darius Outlaw comfortable with? What plays does he run the best? What can we do to tailor-made his skills into this game plan and get some points on the scoreboard?
Now Justin Gage goes into the slot. Spencer goes wide to the right, facing 3rd down and 11. There was a loss of 1 on that play. Outlaw seeing the pressure, swings it out in the flat. Pass is complete to Gilmore. He dropped the football, but they're saying he was down, and it'll be short of the 1st down. Now this is a deja vu all over again, according to Yogi Berra. They'll be facing 4th down. Remember, Michigan State, it was in the 4th quarter though, facing 4th down. They elected to kick it away. They didn't get it. Duckett got the 1st down, cost him the game, but this time it looks like no decision for Larry Smith.
Yeah, but this is also, I don't know if I'd even go with a fake here, because you have a chance to pin them back. Once again, you'd love to be able to directionally punt the ball and get it out of bounds, but what Nebraska will do, they'll overload the side, the short side of the field they think that you want a directional punt to.
Gilpin trying to pooch kick. He's got a pretty good wind behind him, and it'll carry it to the 1 into the end zone. Missouri had a chance at knocking it back. Couldn't quite cover it up. Larry Smith said that's all right. Now, if you're Bill Cubitt on the sideline, every chance you get, are you pulling the youngster over, Darius Outlaw, to A, calm him down, and B, because he probably didn't take a whole lot of snaps with the 1st-team offense.
And you could see a little confrontation between the 2 of them. You've got to get the young man where he's calm, where you can actually talk to him, because this is much like a parent-child relationship. You work so closely together, sometimes you get on each other's nerves, and now they have to kind of say, okay, I'm listening to you, Dad.
Crouch keeps it, falls forward to the 25-yard line. Mengucci in on the stop along with Cedric Harden, sophomore out of Humble, Texas. How about the total yards? Missouri over 400 yards total offense. This is a team that averages 291. They
That's
have not
145 yards in this quarter for Missouri.
Nebraska hasn't given up 400 yards since the Colorado game last year, which Colorado, I think, scored 30 points on him. Crouch keeps it up to the 40 to the 42-yard line. They stand him up and they put him down, but not before Crouch, as the 3rd quarter is winding down, gets the 1st down. Clarence Jones and Robinson on the stop.
We saw number 32 Doyle lip, number 32 Sean Doyle lip off, and Duke Brevard, number 56, comes in and he tries to run underneath the play instead of scraping to the outside and shutting down the quarterback.
Crouch was 74 yards rushing the football on 16 attempts. He has thrown for 154 yards, but with 15 minutes left, the number 1 ranked Huskers lead Missouri by just 11. Battle with the Missouri Tigers along with James Lofton. I'm Ron Thula, and I think if you're a Missouri fan, the key right now, they've got to get back into the flow of this football game.
And I think the flow has been disrupted. We have Darius Outlaw, who's a quarterback who has not had a lot of snaps in the ball game. And for Bill Cubitt, he has to find out what this guy is comfortable with and what he feels secure about pulling off from behind the center.
Nebraska at the 40-yard line. Crouch tries the right side. Running room up to the 50, close to the first down as he crosses the 50, gets into Missouri territory. We have a penalty flag. Tackle made by Pat Duffy.
He's coming in late. Coming from deep center field. You see the Missouri players are pointing in the Nebraska direction. Nebraska players are slowly walking back in the opposite direction.
It's been a well-played game. We have had 10 penalties in the game total. Well, we got a personal foul. Well, Larry knows his team needs to take a deep breath as Frank Solich getting it explained to him by Don Caprell, the head linesman. Let's listen in.
First penalty, illegal motion on the offense. 5-yard penalty from previous spot.
Okay. Thought there was more to it.
Second penalty.
There we go.
Dead ball. Personal foul on the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
We talked about poise and composure, James.
And Larry Smith is venting now. Getting it out of his system, talking to those officials. He wants to know who, what happened, and he's not very pleased with the explanation that they gave him.
Well, his team is laying everything on the field tonight, and I think it's a little frustrating when this happens. Crouch inside.
Ball carried by Crouch.
Down to the 46-yard line. Robinson again on the stop. You know, we haven't called Justin Smith's name a whole lot tonight. Maybe a couple of times. He does have his sack. But it's kind of like Nebraska is either staying away from him or they're running plays that are getting him out of position.
Well, and this ball game has been full of all or nothing plays. There have been some good stops at the point of attack. Missouri has done a good job in pursuing, getting down the line of scrimmage. But it's the big plays in the ball game that I've heard. The big run and catch by Balk-Coulter, and also the return by Bobby Newcomb.
Well, Eric Crouch is going to burn the timeout. He will have one remaining in the final 14:05. And he's going to talk about it. So with 14:06 left to play in the football game, Nebraska facing 2nd and 8 and leading by 11. Smith, they call him Godzilla. He needs a Godzilla effort right now as Missouri has Nebraska facing a 2nd down and 8 situation. Crouch calls his own number, leans forward down to about the 42-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. Mengucci and Robinson again on the stop. This is the 6th time I think Nebraska has been ranked number 1 in the country. The previous times you can see where they finished. 2nd, the best in 1983. I think the question is, Florida State looked very impressive Thursday. Nebraska hasn't looked overpowering in their games. Will this drop them?
Well, that 1983 was the Turner Gill year. They lost to Florida State, and I don't think Nebraska should fall. They're playing well tonight. People come in here gunning for them.
On 3rd down, a huge defensive play by Pat Mengucci and Jamonte Robinson. What an effort by this Missouri Tiger defense that was riddled for 60-plus points versus Clemson.
Missouri's had a week to prepare, an extra week to prepare for this ball game. Jamonte Robinson, you see him at the top, flow, 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 and fill. That's what linebackers are taught to do. Eric Crouch is a great cutback runner. That option starts. He cuts back behind the guard in that gap from his center, Dominic Raiola. But Jamonte Robinson is there to fill it.
The numbers on Haydenfeld tonight. High snap. The wind catches this one, takes a hit at the 1, goes into the end zone. And Missouri will have 80 yards to go to try to cut this lead of Nebraska, which is now at 11. Tomorrow we're bringing you the tailgate party at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, only on Fox Sports Net. And Verizon presents 1st and 10 all season long on Fox Sports Net College Football Saturday. Verizon, making the world of communications a whole lot simpler. And you can see the 1st and 10 marker right at the 30-yard line. Outlaw still the quarterback, keeps it, pumps, tucks it, First down, running room to the 45, and he takes a seat at the 48. 28 yards on the carry.
I think Darius Outlaw might have hurt himself a little bit in that hook slide. But Outlaw, it is a bootleg left. You see the eyes of defender there, and then a nice move to get past Outlaw in the open field. His legs getting stretched out, and then a nasty looking slide there at the end. You've got to get the heels up if you're going to slide.
Yeah. Missouri found him at their football camp back in 97 and 98. Now he swings it out into the flat. The spin move by Gilmore did not fake Carlos Polk out. Polk, if you remember, hurt in the first half, a little ankle problem. He's come back to play.
And Carlos read this play the whole way. He's watching the back, and this ball floats in the air a little bit too much. They ran this the opening series, had good success with it. But you know what, Nebraska, these are smart guys. You talk about all the academic All-Americans in this stadium. 74 football players have been academic All-American. That's an NCAA record. These guys watch film, they study, they figured out what happened in the first half.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13, Gage in motion. They pitch it near side, Gilmore. He is shoved out of bounds at the 44-yard line, and Larry Smith wants a late hit.
He was not shoved out of bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, he put the wood on Troy Watchorn.
Boy,
if there's a late hit being called, it would be on the running back.
I think you may be right.
Watchorn better watch out next time.
Oh, my. Yeah, I don't think he went out of bounds. It didn't look like he did. I think Troy hears the telephone ringing now. 3rd down, we'll call it 2.
They're coming after him. It's empty formation.
Pass complete. First down, Missouri to Dwayne Blakely.
Was it Eddie LeBaron who used to do the jump pass when you were a little boy growing up? Way before my time, but I've seen it. And Darius Outlaw is 6'4", 193 pounds. He can feel these guys coming at his feet, so he jumps a little bit and dumps this ball off to Dwayne Blakely.
Jason Lohr was right in front of him.
And I think that Bill Cubit has had so much offense in this ball game, he's having to repeat things. Where they had success early, and they're having success again.
They are closing in on 450 yards total offense. Outlaw steps up in the pocket, lets it fly, and it is knocked down at the last second by Jeremy Schlechter. Tell you, you talk about the poise of Kirk Farmer. This young man stepping in out of Powder Springs, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And he showed a little bit of composure. He's finally caught his breath. I think they've taken his pulse and it's calmed down, and Bill Cubit is a little coaching in progress there.
The toughest thing for a backup quarterback is coming in and breaking that sweat. And I think he's broken that sweat. Feels like he's playing in a ball game now. He's got an unbalanced line. This is a tackle over here. He's the end man on the line of scrimmage. We almost have a tackle eligible play.
They keep it on the ground. Nice job staying on his feet, Abram, but he is going to lose a couple. But I think we've got to go back to the top of the show where we talked about there was no question with this Nebraska offense. The question was with the Nebraska defense. We thought that the questions were being answered, but I don't think they have. Now Kirk Farmer is back on the sidelines with a jacket, and he is obviously done for tonight, and we're not sure how long it will be before he comes back into the Missouri lineup. 3rd down and 11. Here comes Nebraska. Outlaw gets it right into the hands of Zach Abram, and he couldn't hold on. And now they'll be forced to kick it away. Pass was there. He will be kicking into the wind, Jared Gilpin. Joe Walker now standing on the 6-yard line. Gilpin's had a nice night.
Anything inside the 10-yard line would be great for Missouri.
Off the side of his foot. Right at the 10. Now you called it, big guy. That takes a bounce right at the 8-yard line, and Kirk Farmer gives an attaboy. And Nebraska will take over with 10:13 to play in the ball game. They lead by 11. This could be an excellent opportunity for Missouri if they can take advantage of it defensively. Nebraska with their backs to the wall. 1st and 10 from their own 7. We talked about the yards after contact. Alexander tried to get away from everybody. Finally wrapping him up, though, is Darrell Whittington. Mengucci came in, had the first hit, lowered the boom, but Whittington, the senior out of St. Louis, there to wrap it up.
Wilson Thomas, number 9, comes in motion, and he taps Eric Crouch on the hiney. And that says, I'm past you, and you can snap the ball now. And if it's yards after contact, and this guy is still fighting, he got a very favorable spot at the 4-yard line. He's going sideways at the 2.
Now they say it's a loss of 2. 2nd down and 12. Crouch, safe pass into the flat. Davison. He is upended by Andre Roberson, and Davison is going to get up slowly. That is good for a 1st down. Davison lipping off.
And Davison does a nice job, these long legs striding along that sideline. Stays in bounds, turns it upfield. Sometimes that momentum will carry you out of bounds, but you see him plant hard and then pivot and go directly up the field. Comes back in, he comes back into a lot of contact here. It's hit right on the knees. Andre Robertson, number 15, goes down low on him.
Ron Brown, the wide receivers coach, checking on his status. And it's a 1st and 10 for Nebraska, closing in on 9 minutes to play. Option to the right. Crouch is tripped up short of the 30-yard line by Mengucci. I think Pat Mengucci and Jamonte Robinson are going to have a nice night's sleep tonight. They have been in on just about every tackle. This does not look like a Missouri defense that was 106th in the country last year. You can see the scoring by quarters. Nebraska hung 21 on them in the 2nd. On 2nd and 5, Smith forces the pitch. Alexander, nice job stiff arming, still on his feet. Clarence Jones came up, Larry Hollenquist came up. That's a 245-pound I-back.
I mean, you can look at these guys and tell that they're strong, but they're good football players. Their strength is not just something for standing around on the beach or posing in front of the mirror. They use that strength on the football field. He's carrying that ball in the correct arm. That stiff arm goes all the way down, stiff arms that guy to the ground, and then he lowers his shoulder again.
Alexander only 33 yards rushing on 12 attempts tonight. He was going after his 5th straight 100-yard game. Thomas and Gibson are the wide receivers to the right. They go to the short side of the field. This time nothing doing. Alexander wrapped up. Justin Smith in on the tackle.
We're going to break away from Nebraska.
I mean, you take so much as an official, and we understand that, but sometimes you can't have the rabbit ears.
Dead ball on sportsmanlike conduct on a Missouri man. 15-yard penalty.
But what you don't want to do is put your team in a major deficit. Now, they weren't pleased with the Bobby Newcomb punt return. They felt, as you see the penalty situation, there were a couple of clips on the play. They felt that they've gotten the raw end of the deal tonight on a number of situations.
You know, it's almost like a baseball umpire. If you stand there, you're going to take that abuse. You got to walk away. And Larry Smith has to control himself a little bit. He wants his team to be fired up, but he can't be too fired up on the sideline.
Now Nebraska continues to move. Alexander, the I-back, Crouch, looking for something, and he is going to be pulled down by Pat Duffy from behind. Hollenquist comes out to help. This is a drive that started inside their own 10-yard line. And they are, more importantly, they're taking a lot of time off the clock. Well, they could still muster a smile. Larry gave everybody a scare with blood clots in his leg this summer. Said he's fine. You can see this will be the 9th play of the drive. We're at 4 minutes right,
which is a long drive for tonight.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. Good point. Crouch calls his own number inside the 10 down to the 8-yard line. Gary Anthony on the stop.
You've got your fullback and your I-back. You fake to both these guys, and these guys become your lead blockers. Watch Miller and Buckholder. They're going to come in and they're going to take up blockers. And then Crouch pancakes one of the guys of his own. Runs over number 5, David Monroe. Now it's just power football. Frank Solich will just look down the play chart, so we've got to grind this thing out, keep it on the ground. No more air Frank. It's ground Solich.
That's right. First down and 8. Crouch looking for the end zone, has a man, skip passes. Incomplete.
Boy, I'm about as smart as they come.
That's right. Tracy Wistrom, the intended receiver. James, we have an update on Kirk Farmer, the quarterback for the Missouri Tigers that went out at about 6:51 of the third with his team trailing by 14. He has a broken clavicle, collarbone, and that is not good for the Missouri Tigers. Once again, let's take a look at the injury to Farmer. It happened right there.
You see him when he gets up, he grabs that left collarbone, the clavicle. And you can see when he has his shirt off, this is a thickly muscled kid too. So he takes a lot of abuse, but just land the wrong way, you're in trouble.
Crouch spinning. Touchdown.
Now, a moment ago I said, no more air Frank, ground Solich. And you laughed at me.
Yes, I did.
Now, what was that right there? Ground Solich?
That was ground Crouch. 41-24. Nebraska goes up now by 17, but Frank Solich, I am sure, will be up tonight thinking about why his team has given up almost 450 yards total offense to Missouri.
Well, you had 30 yards in penalties against Missouri that last drive.
Yeah.
You had an offsides, you had pass interference, and then you had the big personal foul.
And he knows that Missouri was going to put up a fight, and they've done just that. But Eric Crouch has given them the lead, 42-24. 5.5 left to play. College football on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by KFC. We do chicken right. And the state capital of Nebraska. The refurbished state capital. Got that Washington Monument look.
All the workers are here tonight, too.
Eric Clemens, Larry Smith wasn't pleased with all that was going on down there a moment ago.
He certainly was not. He was arguing with the field judge as we watched the kickoff here, Brad Van Bark, and he said to Van Bark, those calls stink, they stink, and then something else that drew the last penalty.
Ricardo Rhodes up to the 32, but Eric, that sideline of Missouri was pretty pumped up. I mean, they sort of kept up their psyche the whole night. Did those penalties demoralize them when all of a sudden?
I think they're really disgusted from the coaches on down. The offside penalty that was called against Smith, it totally disgusted the coaches, and then it just snowballed after that. I think these kids were having fun until a couple of injuries. The first one to Dowsman, the serious knee injury, and the broken clavicle of their quarterback, Kirk Farmer, has really taken a lot out of them.
Yeah, there's still 5:21 to go, but they're in an 18-point deficit. Pass is complete up to the 45 to the 47-yard line to Justin Gage. That is his 5th reception this evening. He already has a touchdown reception. I'll tell you what, that Justin Gage has been very impressive. A man on the receiving end of Darius Outlaw's pass, but Gage came in as a quarterback. A lot of us felt that he would be playing quarterback for this team.
But you can tell how talented he is as an athlete, and looks like a pretty good receiver, and he's only a sophomore.
The ball is loose. Outlaw picks it up, scrambling for his life. This wounded duck is going to be picked off. Troy Watchern, the senior from Nebraska, with the interception. He had one for a return for a touchdown last week versus Iowa. He's got another now, and we have a penalty flag.
A penalty against number 70 for Nebraska, Jason Lohr. A little late hit. He just bumps into another number 70, A.J. Ricker. These are just linemen bumping into each other, but it was a little after the whistle had blown.
Dead ball. Personal foul on Nebraska. They'll retain the ball. Be half the distance from the goal.
Yeah, we've had our share of personal fouls tonight. That was a tough pass for the young redshirt freshman, no matter what.
Well, you get out of trouble once you pick up the fumble, and then Carlos Polk is chasing you down. You throw across your body, and you just lay it up, hang it up for grabs, and the wrong team grabs it. Troy Watchorn last week had a interception return for a touchdown. So
39 yards.
Fourth quarter's been his.
First points off a turnover this year for Nebraska, coming last week. Now the Huskers have the football on their own 10-yard line. A lot of running room for Judd Davies, the redshirt freshman fullback out of Omaha, Nebraska. His first carry tonight, it goes for 27 yards. That is his longest of the year. Eric Clemens, this has been a wild football game.
A totally wild football game. Ron, Missouri just seems to have everything together just about when they meet Nebraska 2 of the last 3 years. Look at Eric Crouch. He is a legitimate Heisman candidate, I think. 173 yards passing, 110 yards rushing, a couple TDs. Kirk Farmer, before the injury, was excellent as well. 83 yards rushing, the big run. Got him in it, but injuries keep him out.
Davies again. And Nebraska just wanting that clock with 4:23 to go, just to go ahead and run it down.
How did Davies' knee not go down? I've never seen a guy run that low to the ground without something dragging. I mean, shoulder or his hip or his knee, but kept his balance. And that's part of the strength program here. You just don't bulk up to get strong. You get strong so that you're strong on the football field.
Of course, Nebraska goes to Iowa State next week for an afternoon tilt. Dan McCarney's squad will come in undefeated at 4-0 if they hold on to beat Baylor tonight. Straight ahead, Davies. Look out to the 30. 25, upended at the 23-yard line.
We've seen the option work to the outside. Eric has been piercing them. You've seen Buckholder and Alexander doing all the damage. So when you go straight up the middle, you have all the flow. Look at the flow going outside, and they've overrun it. There's a linebacker, and there's a nice screen. Dominic Riola, nice screen block. He peels back, and then it's all about trying to get low on the big man. Those aren't big strides, but you got to take him down low because he'll run right over you if you don't.
Davies, 6 foot, 240 pounds. They build the fullbacks big here. This time the eye back. Corral Buckholder does not get in, knocked out of bounds at about the 2-yard line. Now, when you look at the score in the morning paper, people are going to see this score, and if they add another, it will be 49-24, and they'll say, gee, Nebraska killed them.
Well,
That is not an indication.
Nebraska is just like a team that passes a lot. They run that power option. They continue to come at you. I mean, they can't back off. What do they do to back off? They'd have to take a knee. You don't do that. Continue to compete. You let your guys play hard. You can see the dejected sideline of the Missouri Tigers. They came in here. They fought well for 3.5 quarters. Breaks didn't go their way in this ball game.
Over the top, touchdown.
Got a flag.
We have a flag
in the middle of all of that.
Buckholder went over the top. We'll have to wait and see. And it looks like it's going to be against, is it against Missouri?
From where it's thrown, you would think holding.
The old illegal block.
I thought he was saying his hips were too big.
Oh, man. Did he point at Eric or me?
Well, illegal block, you'd think one guy stands him up, the other guy comes and chops him down.
Which is a rule that they've really tried to enforce this year. One of the rule changes.
Chop block on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot.
You talk to a lot of opposing teams, and a lot of them say that Nebraska does use the chop block at times.
Well, a lot of teams use it at times. There he's engaged, and that block is up. That's a high block. If that's called a chop block, it's not a great call, because normally you have to hit him below where the body bends in the torso. That time he got him right in the rib cage. That was a very good block by Nebraska, and Frank Solich will look at that one on film and wonder what they were thinking.
Ron Brown, the wide receivers coach there with the sweat top on, next to Frank Solich. Frank knows that his team had question marks. Some of them were answered tonight. Some more were created. John Gibson in motion. They keep it on the ground. Oh, my. Mr. Buckhalter, hello. Want to introduce you to Cedric Harden. Now this Thursday, it's a special edition of College Football Saturday on Fox Sports Net. Fresno State travels to Houston. Day off as you head to the Pac-10 for a weekend game. Buckhalter again to the 15-yard line as the clock goes inside of 2.5. Smith on the tackle. Let's give credit where credit is due tonight, James. The Missouri defense and their offense. They came in a decided underdog in this football game. There has been much controversy surrounding them since the Michigan State 3-point loss, but this team came in prepared to play football tonight. And our hat is off to Larry Smith and his entire staff.
Well, I think you can see from the effort level of the Missouri Tigers how they support their coach. Last 2 weeks ago, the 4th down call, he decides to punt it away. They don't get the ball back. They have a week off. It's kind of that foxhole mentality. You know, we're the guys who are on this team. The coaching staff supports the players. Players support the coaching staff.
Missouri bringing everybody. Crouch's pass, incomplete. Intended for Bobby Newcomb.
You know, he put a lot on that ball. There was no center fielder. Guys are closing in on Eric Crouch. He actually could have put a little more air under that ball and just let Bobby Newcomb run under it.
Well, the fans want him to go for it. Facing 4th down and 14.
Now, is this a call that is motivated by the pollsters?
You know, you always have that question now, and I think it's a legitimate one. The BCS, who you beat.
Florida State looked good on Thursday night, but I don't think you can worry about that.
Crouch's pass, it's a moot point. Incomplete.
You know, you play in such a competitive division that if you win this thing, you know, they have to play Kansas State. Kansas State is playing very well right now. Number 5 in the country. They'll probably move up a little bit. Florida loses. They're in the top 5. You have a lot of teams to go through to win the Big 12 championship.
You know, I was listening to Jeff Sagarin on Fox Sports Radio on Thursday, who does the Sagarin ratings, obviously, and he was talking about some, I don't know, this accounting system they use, which confused the daylights out of Bob Page, the host, and myself. But, you know, he said who you beat and how much you beat them and where you beat them, it does have an effect on the polls.
I like the coaches' polls because they go up against each other. And this is a spot Darius Outlaw's coming in. You really can't make anything great happen. You just hand the ball off here and get out of here.
Well, this could have something great
Hold
happen.
on to that ball.
Abram caught from behind. And, of course, the Sagarin poll does have Florida State number 1, and Nebraska is number 2, by the way. But the poll that we keep our eye on, the Associated Press poll, and we've got Nebraska on top. Florida State looked impressive. How about Florida losing to Jackie Sherrill today?
Well, look at that. In the top 10, you have 3 teams that lost. You have Florida, Washington, and University of Southern California losing to the Beavers up there in Corvallis.
Interesting day. This time Missouri just going to keep it on the ground as we head towards 60 seconds left to be played in this football game. Darius Outlaw coming in for Kirk Farmer, the injured quarterback, went out with just about 7 minutes left in quarter number 3, and he was having a marvelous game to that point. 13 of 25, throwing the football over 200 yards. Missouri tonight, almost 500 yards total offense. A lot of that coming from that young man. The pass from Outlaw is incomplete. Intended for Justin Cage.
Outlaw's pass intended for number 12, Justin Gage, falling incomplete.
Now the executive producers of Fox Sports Net are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. Coordinating producer of College Football Saturday, Gary Garcia and Roy Hamilton. Tonight's game was produced by Mike Helling, directed by Ken Fouts. The College Football Saturday studio show produced by Loy Maxson, the main man, and directed by Joe Whitus. The vice president of field operations is Andrea Jenkins. Thank you, folks. At 3rd down and 11. The pass tip incomplete. Justin Gage had a hand on it, couldn't bring it into the pocket. And it'll be 4th down for the Tigers with 44 seconds left.
You know, just when it looks like things are starting to improve, Larry Smith had talked about his ball club getting better in practice, and you could see the outcome of that performance tonight. And now they have a blow where they lose their quarterback, Kurt Farmer. Look at their remaining schedule. Darius Outlaw will be the guy who will pilot this ship. They play against the Oklahoma State Cowboys next week. Kansas Jayhawks. I'm learning all these nicknames. The Texas Longhorns.
You're good.
Thank you.
Iowa State. Go ahead. What?
Cyclones.
Baylor.
Bears.
This is remedial football, ladies and gentlemen, and we're glad you're part of it.
The Western Illinois What's.
This is like the hooked on phonics thing we're doing up here. Larry Smith, one of 2 coaches to take 4 different teams to bowls. Lou Holtz is the other. And Gilpin is going to kick it away. Maybe. One thing we haven't seen a whole lot of trickery outside of the double reverse pass that Farmer caught from Justin Gage.
I think it's been a wide open game by both teams, and Missouri's credit, they didn't have to resort to the 3 stacked receivers. They were able to move the ball. Kurt Farmer did a fantastic job early in the ball game.
Nebraska putting on the rush. They almost get a piece of it. Newcomb catches it on the run at the 29 and goes down at the 29. Just a reminder, we still have football coming your way. Coming up on Fox Sports Net, our college football Saturday quadruple header. Arizona State will be taking on UCLA, number 15 in the country. Steve Fiziak, Tom Ramsey, Lisa Molaski are standing by at the Rose Bowl in beautiful Pasadena, California. And they'll have all the action for you. That game is underway, and there is no score in the contest so far. And in the remaining 37 seconds, if there is, we'll tell you.
And Jamal Lord is getting on the field. I got a chance to talk to this young man. He said he wanted to play tonight and wanted to play when it mattered, and to get in there when the game was still to be won.
They're keeping it on the ground. This is Darren Diedrich out of Ontario, Canada, the 6', 220-pound tailback. He went about 4 yards on that play, maybe 6. This is a young man we saw last year. We didn't know a whole lot about in Diedrich, and tell you what, he was very impressive in a couple of games last season. You know,
Tamanga Biaka-Patuku, who plays for the Carolina Panthers, played at the University of Michigan and played in Canada, and I think once he came down and played really well, I think recruiters started saying we need to go north of the border.
And that'll do it. The number 1 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers make it 22 in a row over the Missouri Tigers. They do it, and it was a hard-fought battle, 42-24 the final score, and now Nebraska, James Lofton, they've got to find out what's wrong with their defense and move on.
Well, they gave up some big plays tonight. You want to cover one-on-one on the outside. They had some mismatches. It looks like that third cornerback position is the one that troubled them. Justin Gage, number 12, gave them some problems tonight. We're going to have to shore that up in the race for number 1.
So that's it from Lincoln, Nebraska, where the final score is 42-24 for James Lofton and Eric Clemens and our entire crew in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Arizona State and UCLA going on the West Coast. We'll take a break, and when we come back, have all the action for you in the Pac-10. College Football Saturday has been a presentation of Fox Sports Net.